Putin's growing nuclear might is forcing NATO into a high-stakes gamble that could reshape Europe's security landscape. NATO is now racing to catch up with Russia's expanding nuclear advantage as fears of a wider confrontation continue to mount. Here's why Europe is pushing to dramatically increase the deployment of US-made nuclear bombs across the continent. As the Putin-Kim axis grows stronger, NATO is sounding a fresh nuclear alarm over the rapidly shifting balance of power. Amid rising tensions with Russia, NATO is considering a significant expansion of US nuclear weapons deployed across Europe. The alliance is reportedly weighing the acquisition of additional US-made B61-12 nuclear bombs to counter Russia's growing arsenal. Reports suggest NATO could increase its European nuclear stockpile to as many as 200 to 250 US nuclear bombs. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has reportedly not ruled out the possibility of deploying additional American nuclear weapons across Europe. Senior U.S. defense officials have also indicated they are prepared to support expanded nuclear sharing arrangements with NATO allies. Military experts argue that NATO requires a larger inventory of tactical nuclear weapons to narrow Russia's perceived battlefield advantage. One nuclear policy specialist has suggested Europe may need an additional 100 to 150 U.S. non-strategic nuclear warheads to strengthen deterrence. If the proposal moves forward, Putin could face the combined nuclear capabilities of 3 NATO member states alongside the United States. The discussions come as tensions continue to escalate between NATO and Russia over the alliance's sustained military support for Ukraine. Russia reportedly deployed 10 Su-30 SM-2 fighter jets for precision strike drills in Kaliningrad, according to Military Watch magazine. The report emerged just hours before Poland accused Russia of firing a missile that landed inside Polish territory. Poland said a Russian missile landed and exploded inside its territory during the early hours of July 30th, according to CNN. Authorities said the missile struck about 55 miles inside Poland, leaving behind a large impact crater. Russia's Baltic Fleet said the Su-30 SM-2 fighters rehearsed precision strikes against simulated enemy military targets during the exercise. The drills included attacks on command posts, fortified defensive positions and armored formations in a high-intensity combat scenario. Russian pilots first carried out aerial reconnaissance missions before launching coordinated strike operations against designated targets. The exercise also featured close air support missions designed to simulate combat during a large-scale conventional conflict. The fighter aircraft dropped practice bombs before conducting follow-on attacks using rockets and onboard cannon fire. Kaliningrad remains one of Russia's most heavily militarized forward outposts, directly facing NATO territory in Europe. Kaliningrad is Russia's heavily fortified Baltic exclave, located between NATO members Poland and Lithuania. Its location gives Russian forces rapid military access to Central and Northern Europe during a regional crisis. The enclave is protected by layered air defense systems designed to shield key military infrastructure and deployed forces. Kaliningrad also serves as a major hub supporting both Russian naval aviation and Baltic Fleet operations. The exercise took place as NATO continued expanding its military presence and force posture around the Kaliningrad region. Meanwhile, the Su-30 SM-2 has become one of the Russian Navy's primary multi-role fighter platforms for strike operations. The Su-30 SM-2 is a twin-seat multi-role combat aircraft designed for both air superiority and precision strike missions. It is powered by AL-41F1S turbofan engines, providing improved performance and greater operational flexibility. The aircraft incorporates multiple technologies derived from Russia's more advanced Su-35 fighter program. Its upgraded systems enhance both air-to-air combat performance and long-range strike capabilities. The Su-30 SM-2 can carry a wide range of precision-guided bombs and advanced air-to-surface missile systems. The aircraft is also compatible with standoff cruise missiles for engaging targets from extended distances. It can deploy anti-ship weapons, giving it significant maritime strike capability during naval operations. Its combination of a large payload and long combat radius supports extended multi-role strike missions. Russia continues modernizing its tactical fighter fleet as European NATO members rapidly expand deployments of F-35 fighters. Moscow has also said it expects to field a third regiment of Su-57 fifth-generation stealth fighters within the next year.
What do you ask?
Really is, first of all, we are very thankful to senators and we are very thankful for this discussion. The discussion was with details how to help Ukraine, and we are thankful that this bill is very important. Sanctions pressure on Russia is very important, and really it gives, it's not only about money, how to stop, to finance this war, but it's also a big signal to Europe, big signal to Ukraine, big support of our people. So I'm very thankful. I hope that, God bless, we will have positive results.
So,
how was your visit overall? Have you achieved the goal? Will Ukraine receive more missiles? What was the conversation with Donald Trump?
We speak about Patriot missiles. Really, it's true. Now we spoke with senators about it. So that Ukraine really can produce everything, which can destroy everything from Iranian Shaheeds to Russian drones and etc. We have drone interceptors, modern systems of electronic warfare. Real problem is anti-ballistic systems and anti-ballistic missiles. And of course, I shared what we need, our needs. I shared it with the president. Today, I'm very thankful to him for this meeting, and now I share it with senators. So we will try to manage it. It's a big challenge.
Meanwhile, another key Russian ally has intensified its involvement in the escalating conflict between Moscow and Ukraine. Ukrainian officials say that during the July 30th attack, Russia launched 2 North Korean-made KN-23 short-range ballistic missiles toward Kryvyi Rih, marking one of the clearest uses yet of Pyongyang's rockets in this conflict. Both missiles were fired toward the Kryvyi Rih district and together caused widespread damage and civilian casualties, turning a residential area in Zelensky's home region into a tragic showcase of foreign-supplied firepower. These developments were publicly reported by Vladislav Vlasiuk, the president of Ukraine's representative for sanctions policy, underscoring how missile use and sanctions work have now become tightly linked. According to Ukrainian authorities, the first missile struck a private house in Rutte, killing 6 people, including children, and injuring at least 9 more, a devastating hit on a single-family home. Investigators later found the crater from the second KN-23 impact in a field roughly 3.5 kilometers from the first strike site, with officials noting there were no military targets within 5 kilometers, highlighting both the inaccuracy and the indiscriminate nature of the attack.
In Radishny, the Russians use a missile from Democratic People's Republic of Korea for the first time in a long while. These are the preliminary data. Of course, there will be expert examinations. Everything will be verified. But as of now, it is a North Korea ballistic missile, an alliance of Moscow scum with the insane regime of DPRK for the sake of missiles, for the sake of the DPRK contingent here in Europe, on our borders, for the sake of killing our Ukrainian children. Of course, today, many in the world condemned this strike. There were many expressions of sympathy over the loss of life. European countries said many things also because of the Russian missile that flew into Polish territory and exploded somewhere in a field near Lublin. Still, the most important thing is not simply sympathy, and not simply condemnation, but missile for air defense. Exactly this kind of pressure on Russia can stop this stupid Russian war. All of their strikes, their terror. This war could have been ended long ago, but Putin does not want that. He is either looking for some weapons in DPRK, or somewhere in Iran, or coming up with something else. Anything to keep fighting, to keep killing, evil that can only be stopped by sufficient force.
Allies Russia and North Korea are bolstering ties as global tensions continue to rise, using infrastructure and defense cooperation to deepen their wartime partnership. Moscow and Pyongyang have almost completed construction of a strategic road bridge over the Tumangan River, creating their first modern road crossing between the two states. The bridge will potentially be used as a logistics corridor for military supplies, with investigations warning it could discreetly move munitions, equipment, and personnel to support Russia's war against Ukraine. Details of this military boost were reported by outlets including Militani on July 29th, which highlighted the dual economic and strategic role of the new crossing. The bridge spans the Tumangan River between Kherson in Russia's far east and the North Korean side near Ryazan, in a remote border area that touches the Sea of Japan. It runs alongside the existing Friendship Bridge, currently the only rail link between the two nations and already used to move cargo and, reportedly, arms shipments. The new corridor will enable smoother movement of North Korean troops and construction brigades into Russia, as well as transport of Russian technology, fuel, and other resources back into North Korea, according to reports. North Korea has completed its part of the project ahead of the planned June 19th opening, finishing customs facilities, access roads, and its section of the span. However, Russia is behind schedule on its side of the border, with satellite imagery and local reporting indicating slower progress on its customs complex and roadway approaches.